You're listening to the LSG Sports Network, the authority on Texas high school football. Welcome to the Texas High School Football Coaches Show on Lone Star Gridiron. I'm Chris Daly, and it's my belief that the men that make up the fraternity of Texas high school football coaches are much more than a bunch of thick-necked guys with whistles. They do so much more than teach technique and the X's and O's of football. They take young boys and change them into young men of character. They get kids to believe in themselves, to trust others, and to put others ahead of themselves. Texas high school football coaches are unique in how they impact the lives of these athletes as well as the generations those kids touch. In this show, I sit down with a different Texas high school football coach each time and learn about them. Not their record, not their on-field accomplishments, but who they are and what they believe and what it means to be part of the greatest sport in the greatest state. Welcome to Season 7, Episode 11. My guest today is a former high school football coach, but he is currently the new head coach of UTRGV. That's right. I will introduce you to Travis Bush right after this. Hey, coaches, I want to tell you about a product I discovered that is going to be a game changer. Yeah, the Exploder Bar. As coaches, you want to get your athletes as strong as possible without jeopardizing their speed and quickness. The Exploder does just that. I know it sounds like marketing hype, but if you're like me, the second you see this lifting tool in action, you will recognize just how brilliant it is. Triple extension lifts are the key to more powerful movements, and the Exploder Bar was designed to allow these exercises to be performed in a safe and effective manner. And it's a great way to condition core muscle groups and ligaments. Check it out at PremierAthleticSolutions.com. The Exploder Bar is built for athletes who are looking for speed, strength, and explosion. Again, that's PremierAthleticSolutions.com. All right, everybody, join me in welcoming Coach Travis Bush from UTRGV to the show. Coach, how are you today?
Doing good. Appreciate the chance to visit with you today.
Oh, you bet. On this show, we don't really talk about what's going on with your team right now. We instead focus on you, your past, how you got here. So I like to start with, where'd you grow up?
I was going to say that's good because we don't have a team right now, so we don't have much to talk about on that standpoint. No, I'm a South Texas boy. Obviously, my father coached 42 years in Texas, and so bounced around with him mainly in South Texas. I actually started school in the Valley when he coached at PSJ in the 80s, and from there went to Alice and grew up on the sidelines of the Alice Coyotes, and then I graduated from Gregory Portland over by Corpus, and he was the head coach at all those stops. So had the opportunity to play for him there at GP, but really I think Alice in the 80s and the toughness and the discipline of those teams back in the day, really is what sparked my passion for the game of football and coaching itself during those times.
Nice. And what positions did you play?
Played quarterback in high school, and then ended up moving over to wide receiver at Southwest Texas in college.
Nice. And how did any of those teams do? Your high school, your college teams?
High school, we were really good back in the 90s. Gregory Portland, we were a powerhouse down there. Went to semifinals twice. Got beat by A&M Consolidated in the Astrodome in 90 and 92, I think, and then. My senior year was 94. We were undefeated again. Got knocked out in the third round against Hayes. But playoffs every year, a couple of district championships, and it was always us and Cal Island back in the day for that district title.
Nice. And then what about as you became a Bobcat?
Bobcats, I was part of that time late 90, 95 through 99. Never had a winning season there. Went through a couple coaching staffs, but was able to meet a lot of guys that are still influences today there at Southwest Texas as far as our coaching staffs.
Cool. So when did you know you wanted to do coaching?
Probably about halfway through college, and the goal, kind of got to college without a plan. Didn't really, Dad always said, don't be a coach, go do something to make money and have more time with your family and things. So I kind of piddled around, tried to figure out what I wanted to do. But, as I got, about halfway into college, I realized that I had a passion for the game and a passion for kids, and I couldn't see myself doing anything else. Definitely couldn't be in an office from 9 to 5 all day, but that's about the time it started.
Nice. And after college, what was your first coaching gig?
First coaching gig was actually with my father at San Marcos High School. So he had gone back to the Valley, and then he was traveling every Saturday to watch our games, and we'd play at home. And that San Marcos High School job popped open, so he ended up applying for that and getting that just so he could be around our games more, and ended up turning that program around and getting them in the playoffs for the first time in about 30 years, and had an opportunity out of college to work with him, and ended up again having a good year. Went undefeated, won district, and I think at one point we're ranked in the top 5 in the state. But it was another good opportunity, a good season, and a chance to learn from him and his staff at that point.
Nice, and you didn't even have to move.
No, he made me go interview for a bunch of other jobs. So I interviewed for a few around the area, and of course he made me have to interview as well. Started out at the junior high there, but then coached that year. 2000 was the first year there at the high school at San Marcos High School. Nice.
And what positions did you coach?
I handled special teams, quarterbacks and running backs. He's a slot T guy, so kind of handled the work for the backfield there, and got to call the JV offense. That was always fun on Thursday nights.
Yeah.
But
cool. Yeah, if you could take me stop by stop each of the coaching positions you've held up to now.
Okay, so started out there, and really, out of college, he had also told me once I told him I was going to be a coach. He's like, well, don't be a high school coach. You need to go try to get into college. And so I remember back in the day, I handwrote a letter to every Division I college head coach in the nation at that point.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
And I remember I got like 30 back, the 30 responses that said no, but I remember keeping those letters from the coaches that actually took the time to write back, and you could tell some of them were handwritten. Mm-hmm. But anyway, went there, started there at high school at San Marcos High School, and his DC, Jerry Vance, after that first year, got the head job at Liberty Hill. So it was in the springtime, and I was going to go with Coach Vance to Liberty Hill to be the offensive coordinator. And I was about a day away from signing a contract, and Coach Bailiff calls me at TCU. And he had been on our staff at Southwest Texas when I played. And he had always told me, he said, if I ever get a chance to hire you, I'm going to hire you one day. Well, he had got on with Patterson's first year there at TCU. So he called me to come up there in GA. So, of course, I left the phone hanging and said no to Coach Vance and went up there in 2001 to GA at TCU. And they ended up putting me with the offensive line, which as a skill kid knew nothing about, but it was the best thing that could have happened to me in coaching career, especially as an offensive guy. So I got to work with Eddie Williamson there, was the offensive line coach, great influence. Dick Winder, quarterback coach, Mike Schultzer, OC. So some great coaches. Obviously, Coach Patterson, a big influence there, and his toughness and details and organization. And so GA'd there 3 years with the offensive line and really got a good understanding of the game on both sides of the football, and offense and defense. And after in 2004, Coach Bailiff then got the head job at Texas State, so brought me back with him there to Texas State now in 2004 as a wide receiver coach, and got to work alongside Tom Herman, was our offensive coordinator. So kept learning a lot offensively with him there side by side. And then in 2007, did that for 3 years. Of course, we went to the semifinals there in 2005 in 1AA. Almost we were by overtime away from national championship, but got a chance to win the conference there. And then when Coach Bailiff went to Rice, our assistant head coach Brad Wright got the head job and asked me to stay to be the offensive coordinator. So I stayed at Texas State as offensive coordinator there for 3 years, 2007, 2008, and 2009, and had some, again, some more good years, back-to-back winning seasons. Won the conference again in 2008, went to the playoffs, and then out of the blue, Larry Coker calls me from UTSA. They started a program from scratch, and I guess they were kind of in the phase we are now, where they're just kind of, a staff of about 3 that are just watching high school games and paying attention to college games. And so he calls me after the season about talking to him. So I go over there and talk to him and get offered the offense coordinator job there on the original staff at UTSA. So jumped on that opportunity. I remember back then, it was a good time, as I'm alma mater, we're winning, we're doing good. But just felt like, I remember telling my wife that one, Larry Coker is a guy that I grew up when I started coaching, was winning national championships, and always had great respect and knew I could learn some stuff from. But I remember telling my wife, I was like, well, surely, being a part of starting a program from scratch has to help us somewhere down the road. Yeah. I said, maybe that'll come back and help somewhere down the road. And lo and behold, it has. But, fun time to be a part of that and going through that process of learning starting a program from scratch and building and going through that practice year without playing games, and was on the year there. We opened up in 2011 with our first season. And then after the 2011 season, when Coach Levine got the head job at U of H, he calls me, which he was on DeBessa's staff at Southwest Texas when I played as well. So I had known him. He had coached us in college and offered me a running back job. And at that point, offensively, getting into a lot of the tempo and stuff. And so for me, it was an opportunity to get in the air raid system and learn the air raid from the inside out. So went over there as a running back coach, and then ended up getting promoted to offensive coordinator the last 2 years, 2013 and 2014. So I was there for 3 years, and then staff got let go after the 2014 season. And at that point, I had always wanted to. I knew at some point, the college game, there was going to be a time that it was going to be over, but eventually I knew I wanted to coach my boys. I got 2 sons. And so I had always had the goal of being a high school coach to coach them. So we were kind of getting close at that point. Our oldest was going to be an 8th grader. So we figured we'd see what was out there, and then, if not, commit to being a high school coach. We ended up getting on with the Buffalo Bills there for the 2015 season, as an offensive assistant, and working with Anthony Lynn, and the running backs, and Aaron Cromer at O-line. Of course, Rex Ryan was the head coach. So that was fun getting in there and being around that level for a year and learning, again, more detail and organization. And then after that was over, our oldest was going to be a freshman. So we came back to Texas and started looking for high school jobs. And that's when, landed the Seguin job in 2016 there. And that was a program that hadn't had a winning season in over at any level in 10 years. So figure if there's one to take to start out, there's nowhere to go but up there. So we ended up going to Seguin. We're there for 5 years, and it took a bit to get the thing going, but went to playoffs the last 3 years, won 2 district titles there, and then had an opportunity to go to Canyon, do Braunfels Canyon called, and just felt like it was a good chance to change. I felt like they would go 6A, with kind of a different level here the next couple of years. So again, felt like it was a good opportunity. So went to Canyon for 2 years, and then UTRGV calls, and really my youngest still has 2 years left. Our oldest was a freshman when we got to Seguin, and then Ty was a freshman when we got to Canyon. But so he actually had 2 years left. So I remember when this started working out, or at least we started talking a little more serious, I kind of asked Ty. I said, "Hey, look, listen, here's the deal, and I know the AD and I have respect for him. So if you want me to coach you for these next 2 years, I won't waste their time. I'll tell them no right now, and we'll stay here at Canyon and see what happens down the road." And he took about 24 hours, and he came back and said, "No," he goes, "I want you to go for it." And so he had his blessing to go after it, and here we are.
Nice. So now where is he playing? Hey, I want to talk about one of our sponsors, Ready Sports Drink. Football star Aaron Donald always brings something extra to his all-pro performances. Ready Sports Drink. It's science in a bottle. Ready Sports Drink features premium hydration with 3 dominant electrolytes, not just 1 or 2. Ready Sports Drink. Complete hydration with extra energy from super fruits and B vitamins. All this with 0 added sugar and great tasting flavors. Ready Sports Drink, the future of sports drinks. And Aaron Donald's hydration edge every time he sets foot on the field. Ready Sports Drink, now on sale at your local Dollar Tree. Nice. So now where is he playing?
He's actually over at Bernie High now, so he's going to finish up at Bernie High.
Oh, nice.
So it ended up working out where we were going to stay there, and then my wife got a new job that we couldn't pass up in San Antonio. And then it was kind of weird being in the same place without me, so he was kind of ready for a change. But he's going to finish up over at Bernie High there the next 2 years.
Awesome. And
which we don't play games for 2 years, so I won't miss a game.
Right. That's really cool. So now you as a again college coach, you're not the average parent when dealing with the football program that your son's in.
Yeah.
Do you have to rein that back, or how does that work?
No, it's I love it. No, I love just being a dad, and I remember when he's playing Little League football, and we'd go to the games, and my wife would be hitting me, "You need to go out." I said, "I ain't helping anybody. I'm not saying anything. I'm just a parent. Just let me be a parent. I do enough coaching all the other times. Just let me watch." And I remember I'd be running. They needed parents to run the chains one game, and I'm out there as the OC at University of Houston running chains for Pee Wee football. I was like, that's the fun part, is being the dad. So I'm kind of looking forward to it this fall of just being there on Friday night and not having to make a decision or motivate anybody or fire anybody up. Just watching football.
I love that. And you mentioned throughout your stops a whole lot of really great coaches. If you could pull out, I don't know, 3 or 4, and what are some of the specific things each of those taught you?
Yeah, really kind of goes back, my father, growing up around him, just tough, hard-nosed, discipline. He's very organized, and if you talk to probably anybody in the state that knows him, that's kind of his biggest deal, is just the organization of entire staff, entire programs, and covering all your bases, and so really learned a lot just growing up of the details of the organization from him, which Gary Patterson is very, very much alike. I mean, every minute of every day is planned and detailed, and there's a reason for it. There's a purpose for everything you do in your program. and being strategic about, you kind of reevaluating everything every year, and your off season adjusts to fit your team each year. It's not just the same off season every year. I mean, everything is just so detailed and organized. David Bailiff, great players coach, really always in tune to what the team is, what the team needs, if they need a break, if they need to go harder, if they need to be, we need to be a little more stern, just always in tune, to really catering, to the players, obviously within the structure of your program, but really, players and players have always loved him. Big family guy. Families were always around, and really, making sure taking care of your assistant coaches, and giving them time with their family, and working with Tom Herman. I'm about to go spend another week with Herman again. Our mentalities are alike, as far as just that mental and physical toughness of your team, and building that, developing that, and structuring everything in your program again to build that toughness and knowing that tough teams win games, and again, just the meticulous, and that's the kind of common trait from successful coaches, just that meticulous, detailed organization in everything you do, from every aspect, from recruiting to game day, to practice, to travel, to all season, every single thing, in your program. But those are some of the top guys again, but just, several others have had the opportunity, to work with, of course, with Larry Coker and such a good people person, and, would give anyone that walked in the door the shirt off his back. I mean, he was such a great guy to work for, and, very, very, just kind of low mannered, I don't know if I ever heard him raise his voice, but you knew when he wanted you to do something, you got it done. So, great opportunity, very blessed to be around the guys and have an opportunity to be around the guys that not able only to work for, but then just the other staffs that you got to be in touch with because of the places we were at, and make those connections. And then Anthony Lynn from, at Buffalo, I've been in touch with him. In fact, I just got back from spending a weekend with him again and picking his brain on stuff. He's been a head coach at the NFL level now as well. And so just, talked about stuff. Again, this big things we talked about this weekend, hiring the right staff, which is the phase we're in right now, and getting the program aligned. And so a lot of those, utilize a lot of those resources every chance I get.
Nice. And, you've been involved in programs where you're building a program from scratch and programs where you're rebuilding a program. Mm-hmm. What are kind of the differences, and which do you prefer?
I think the probably the positive to building from scratch is you're not having to change anything. You're getting a chance to build things the way you want it, to set the mentality, set the foundation, the culture exactly the way you want. Normally, rebuilding, you're having to change a lot of things, change a lot of old habits, change a lot of mindsets, which a lot of times is hard. And that's what, when we turned the couple of programs around, people asked, what it take? And I was like, off season and graduation. And a lot of that was getting old mentality out of there, because I think the mentality is the hardest to change. And if people get used to losing, they get to a way of thinking, and in a kind of a negative way of thinking. And sometimes that's the hardest thing to change, is the mentality. And so I think starting from scratch, there's only one mentality that we're teaching, and it's on us. And I guess that's the bad part, is it's on us. So if it don't work, there ain't no one else to blame. It's not the last staff's problem; it's our problem.
Nice. And since you're not playing for 2 seasons, how do you, or I guess when do you get the kids involved, and are they all going to be freshmen, or do you have the ability to reach out to some people who know, oh, they're not really going to get to play right away.
Yeah. That's the interesting part, so we'll go through this fall with, it's 5 of us right now. So we got an ops director and three assistants, and we'll finish the staff after this football season, but we'll sign our first class in February. So really looking at probably just high school guys, anybody that's going to come in this first year. The fall of 24 is going to redshirt or lose a year of eligibility. So probably, and we've still got some things to work out on that. And, but I'm looking at signing a high school class, here, in February, bring them in the fall of 24. And then now, we'll go through that practice year, in the fall of 24. At the same time, if there are, we do have the ability that we didn't have back then at UTSA with the transfer portal.
Right.
So if there are some guys that, some older guys that have a year to spare and want to, those are some key guys that first year that we can get in, which we did at UTSA. Some guys transferred in and just because back then they could sit a year. So that could be a possibility. But then looking at the fall of 25, our first year, now you got the ability to get mid-year transfers in, you got the ability to get another high school class and then some spring transfers to help build that roster with some upperclassmen early, which we did not have. We kicked off in 2011 with, I think we were 90% freshman, redshirt freshmen on the roster. So this will at least allow us, now whether we can or not, we'll figure that out, depending on who wants to come down here. But I think there's enough guys that want to play football right now that there'll be an opportunity here. But so I think we have that ability now to have an older roster when we kick off.
Nice. And with a new program like that, how do your scholarship availability, how does that work? What will you have?
Well, being FCS, our max is 63 scholarships, but we're going to fund them in 2 years. So by 2025, we'll be able to fund all of them. I think we're going to fund about half of them the first year. But then by 2025, and really to start being a Division I counter, to play some FBS schools, we've got to be at 90% of our scholarships, right off the bat.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. And I guess how competitive do you think y'all will be early on? Because some programs are competitive depending on their conference, who they're with.
I don't know. I guess ask me when we got a roster. But no, I think this trying to everyone kind of compared us to UTSA because that was the last one closest to here, and the difference too, when we started out that first year, we didn't really know what we were going to be. I remember that we didn't even know if we were going to be Division I, Division II. We kind of played a random schedule with D3 schools, D2s, some NAIAs. We're jumping into an 8-game Division I conference slate the first year, and in fact, this Thursday I'll be up at our conference media day, the initial United was UAC United. I don't even know that. United Athletic Conference. It's the new conference that, in fact, they're going to release all the logos and stuff this weekend. But emerge between the WAC schools and the ASUN, which is a pretty competitive FCS conference. And so now we also having the ability this fall to go watch them in person and kind of see what what we're recruiting against, what we're competing against before we start signing classes is a benefit. But this is going to be it's going to be tough. It's going to be hard, starting out. But again, we also have the ability to have some upperclassmen. So once we start getting a roster in place and seeing what kind of caliber guys we get and seeing what we're going to be facing, then we can get a better idea of where we're going to stand there.
Nice. In shifting back to Texas high school football, what do you see as some of the biggest threats to the game? Because we know it, we love it, but there's a lot of threat.
Yeah, I think anytime you start talking, I know they're talking about NIL deals, and anytime you start talking money to kids and things like that, and I think anytime money gets involved in anything, the genuineness of it gets lost. I know, talk about what would be like a transfer portal too in Texas high school. So I mean, there's so many things with private schools and people trying to move, and now talking money. So I think there's a lot of talk out there. But I think that's the one of the last most genuine pieces of the game right now is those Friday night lights, and especially that small town Texas high school football.
Right on. Well, guys, Coach Travis Bush, I want to thank you so much for sitting down and sharing some of your story, man.
Anytime. And if there's anything else you think you missed, just holler at me. I'll be around.
Did you play Texas high school football? If you did, you're part of an elite group, the Brotherhood of Texas High School Football. All football players, past and present, who have ever suited up in the Lone Star State are eligible. Go to LoneStarGridiron.com/brotherhood. And thank you for the part you played in the greatest sport in the greatest state.
Until next time, I'm Chris Daly, and we'll see you at the game. Hey, if you're involved in your team's fundraising, get this. I was recently introduced to Success Fund, and I was blown away by what it can do. If you're not already using Success Fund to manage your fundraising, you'll really want to check this out. SuccessFund.com. That's Success, FUND.com. It's not a specific fundraiser, no. Now, Success Fund is a platform with free tools that makes it easy to run whatever fundraiser you're already planning. Sponsorships, donations, camps, clinics, whatever it is. Success Fund makes it 10 times easier. Plus, schools use it to accept Venmo, which is otherwise not an option. Because so many thousands of fundraisers have been through their system, these guys know what works and what doesn't. And they just put out a free high school football fundraising guide. Yeah, you can go and download the guide for free at successfund.com/football. It takes 2 seconds to grab it. Again, you want to be sure to check these guys out. But at the very least, go grab this free football fundraising guide at successfund.com/football.